Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is the 1927 Cleveland Rosenblums American Basketball League Championship Series. This refers to the 1926-1927 pro basketball season, which was the second season of the ABL, the American Basketball League, the first national basketball league in the United States, with cities in the eastern part, northeast of the U.S. And Cleveland was the defending champions. They did not repeat, but they did make it to the championship series in the second year of the ABL. The Cleveland Rosenblums played at Public Hall in Cleveland, which had a seating capacity of 10,000 fans. The season was divided into two halves, and the winners of each half played in the championship series. So there was no first round, second round. The first half of the season, Cleveland finished with a record of 17-4, winning percentage of .810. Second place team was the Washington Palace 5, who were 16-5, one game out of first. Third place, the Philadelphia Quakers, 14-7. Fourth place, the Brooklyn Celtics, 13-8. Fifth place, the Fort Wayne Hoosiers, 8-13. Sixth place, the Rochester Centrals, 8-13 also. Seventh place, the Chicago Bruins, 7-14. Eighth place, the Baltimore Orioles, 1-20, winning percentage of .048. And in ninth and last place, the Detroit Pulaski Post, who finished an 0-6. They dropped out of the league on December 23rd, 1926. So there were no divisions, just these 9 teams. Now, the second half of the season, the Brooklyn Celtics finished in first place with a record of 19-2, winning percentage of .905. That's why Cleveland Rosenblums played the Brooklyn Celtics in the championship series. Second place, the Fort Wayne Hoosiers, who were 15-6, 4 games out of first. Third place, the Washington Palace 5, 14-7. Fourth place, the Philadelphia Quakers, 10-11. Fifth place, the Cleveland Rosenblums, 9-12. Sixth place, the Chicago Bruins, 6-15. Seventh place, the Rochester Centrals, 6-15. And in eighth and last place, the Baltimore Orioles, who were 5-16, winning percentage of .238, 14 games out of first. In the 1927 ABL Championship Series, the Brooklyn Celtics defeated the Cleveland Rosenblums 3-0. Cleveland lost Vic Hansen, a top college star who did not like the rough style of play at the pro level. Now, again, the team owner was Max Rosenblum. The team was named after them. Max Rosenblum owned the Cleveland Rosenblums from 1919 to 1930, and the team won 3 ABL titles in 1926, 1929, and 1930. Max Rosenblum. Now, the player-coach for the team was Marty Friedman. He didn't play much. He played in 10 games, scored only 2 points. Marty Friedman was a Cleveland Rosenblums player-coach from 1925 to 1927. Marty Friedman. Nat Hickey was a forward guard. He played in 41 games, scored 343 points, average of 8.4 points per game. Nat Hickey played for the Cleveland Rosenblums from 1925 to 1929. Nat Hickey. Gil Ellie was a forward guard. Ellie played in 22 games. He scored 122 points, 5.5 points per game. Gil Ellie played college basketball in 3 colleges in 4 years, the University of Toledo, Hillsdale College, and the University of Michigan. He was called the best center in the Midwest. He was a creative scorer, effective defender, and accurate free thrower. Gil Ellie was the captain of the Michigan team his senior year of college. He started his pro career with the 1923 Detroit Pulaski Post. In 3 years with them, he led the team in scoring all 3 years. Ellie was known for his versatility. During his 5 seasons in the ABL, he showed the ability to handle any position on the court. Gil Ellie was in the U.S. Army in 1918 to 1919, so at the end of the First World War. He played pro basketball from 1923 to 1938 for the Huntington Legionnaires, Detroit, Jackson Consumers, Cleveland Rosenblums, the Flint Big Reds, Toledo Redmen Tobaccos, Chicago Bruins, Toledo Redmen, Dayton Kellys, and Toledo Borgettes. During his pro career, he played in 145 games, scored 667 points for an average of 4.6 points per game. Gil Ellie. Rich Dean was a center. Dean was with the Cleveland Rosenblums from 1925 to 1929. During the season, he played in 32 games, scored 102 points, with an average of 3.2 points per game. Rich Dean. Dave Kerr was a guard forward. Kerr was with the Cleveland Rosenblums from 1925 to 1930. He played in 38 games, scored 117 points, an average of 3.1 points per game. Dave Kerr. Carl Husta was a guard forward. Husta played for the Cleveland Rosenblums from 1925 to 1930. During the season, he played in 41 games, scored 330 points, an average of 8.0 points per game. Carl Husta. Honey Russell was with the Cleveland Rosenblums from 1925 to 1927. Russell was traded to the Chicago Bruins during the season. Before the trade, he played in 26 games for Cleveland, scored 180 points, an average of 6.9 points per game. He was the best player on the team. However, he had conflict with owner Max Rosenblum, and his contract was sold to Chicago. Honey Russell. Cookie Cunningham was a center guard. Harold Cookie Cunningham was a two-sport star at Ohio State University. He played both pro football and pro basketball. Cunningham played pro football for the Cleveland Panthers in the American Football League in 1926, then 3 years in the NFL for the Cleveland Bulldogs in 1927, the Chicago Bears in 1929, and the Staten Island Stapletons in 1931. During that same 5-year span, Cunningham also played pro basketball for Cleveland and Toledo in the ABL. During the 1932-1933 season, Cunningham was the leading scorer for Firestone in the National Professional Basketball League championship team. Cunningham remained a popular attraction on Midwest independent teams into the late 1930s. He was a player-coach for Columbus in the first year of the National Basketball League. He also coached college basketball at Washington and Lee University and the University of South Dakota. Cookie Cunningham was 6'3", 210 pounds. He graduated from Ohio State University in 1926. He was born in 1905 and died in 1995 at age 90. His hometown was Mount Vernon, Ohio. Cookie Cunningham played pro basketball from 1926 to 1938 for the Cleveland Rosenblums, Toledo Redmen, Richmond Pals, Chicago Bruins, Original Celtics, Akron Firestone, Cleveland Blep Combs, Dayton Metropolitans, Lancaster AT, the Columbus Athletic Supply, and the Toledo Borgelts. During his pro basketball career, he played in 149 games, scored 740 points, an average of 5.0 points per game. During this season, he played in 21 games, scored 83 points for an average of 4.0 points per game. Cookie Cunningham. Moon Klinzing was a forward guard. Carl Moon Klinzing started his basketball career in 1915 as a member of the Pittsburgh South High School that won the city basketball championship. At the beginning of his career, Klinzing was at the forefront of Pittsburgh sports for 2 decades. He finished college playing basketball for Duquesne University in the spring of 1922, then signed for the Second Story Mories. The team was named after the sponsor of a downtown Pittsburgh haberdasher, Maury Goldman, who had an apparel shop on the second floor of a building. In the early 1920s, the Second Story Mories were one of the best basketball teams in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Klinzing was the best player on the team. In 1926, Klinzing led Morris to the championship of the Central Basketball League. After he retired as a player in the early 1930s, Klinzing became a well-respected basketball referee. He was 5'10", 195 pounds. He graduated at Duquesne in 1922. Moon Klinzing was born in 1899 and died in 1995 at age 96. His hometown was Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He played pro basketball from 1921 to 1931 for the Pittsburgh Mories, Butler Athletics, Cleveland Rosenblums, McKeesport Cyclers, Canton, Homestead Ackermans, and the Pittsburgh Fintechs. During his pro career, he played in 31 games, scored 242 points, 7.8 points per game. During this season, he played in 7 games, scored 41 points, and 5.9 points per game. Moon Klinzing. Red Skurnick was a guard forward. Skurnick was 5'10". He went to college at Savage School, graduated in 1926. Henry Red Skurnick was a schoolboy basketball star. He led Commerce High School to the New York City PSAL Championship. After a year of college, he signed pro basketball to play for the Akron Welleks in the Central Basketball League. Skurnick was born in 1904 and died in 1966 at age 62. His hometown was New York City, New York. He played pro basketball from 1926 to 1936 for the Akron Welleks, Cleveland Rosenblums, New York Hakawas, Chicago Bruins, Chicago Duffy Florals, the Whitting Macs, the Halleck Skurnick Chicagoans, and the New York Celtics. During his pro career, he played in 131 games, scored 409 points for an average of 3.1 points per game. Red Skurnick. Steve Alzewski was a guard forward. Alzewski was 5'7", 155 pounds. He did not go to college. Alzewski was born in 1911 and died in 1977 at age 75. His hometown was Cleveland, Ohio. He played pro basketball from 1923 to 1929 for the Cleveland Halley Brothers, Cleveland Favorite Knits, Cleveland Union Trust, Cleveland Rosenblums, and Chicago Bruins. His major league totals in 2 years were 7 games, 7 points, 1.0 points per game. Steve Alzewski. Bill Vincent was a forward. He was 5'5", 150 pounds, no college. Bill Vincent was born in 1903 and died in 1983 at age 80. His hometown was Cohoes, New York. He played pro basketball from 1922 to 1928 for the Cohoes, New York, the Cohosiers, for Hudson, the Cleveland Rosenblums, and the Hudson, New York team. In 25 games, he played. In his pro career, he scored 76 points, 3.0 points per game. Bill Vincent. Now, in the 1927 ABL Championship Series, the Cleveland Rosenblums, the winner of the first half of the season, played the Brooklyn Celtics, the winner of the second half of the season, and Brooklyn swept the ABL Championship Series 3 games to nothing. The first 2 games were in Cleveland. Brooklyn won the game. The first game 29-21. And then the second game, 28-20, low-scoring games. Game 3 was in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn won that game 32-25. The Cleveland Stars were Nat Hickey, Carl Husta, and Honey Russell. The Celtics' best player was Nat Holman. And the best center was Joe Lapchick. Game 1 was at Public Auditorium in Cleveland on April 6. The attendance estimates ranged from 7,000 to 10,000 fans. 2/3 of the points in the game were from the free throw line. The game was tied at halftime 14-14. The Celtics won 29-21. Game 2 again at Public Auditorium, April 7th, the next night. 6,000 fans came. Cleveland had an 8-2 early lead. Celtics led 13-11 at half. Pete Berry was the Celtics' second half star, and Nat Hickey led Cleveland with 13 points. The Washington Post wrote, quote, "The Rosenblums played like schoolboys in the last half as the Celtics started pulling away from them." Game 3 was in Brooklyn, New York at Arcadia Hall. April 9th was the Game 3. Attendance was 2,500. The Celtics led at the half 19-12. Cleveland made a comeback and led 27-25, but the Celtics won the game 35-32. Near the end of the game, Nat Holm and Gil Ellie got into a brawl and both were ejected. So that's the story of the 1927 Cleveland Rosenblums. They did not repeat, but they made it to the championship series, so they were a very strong basketball team. Good luck with your efforts studying the history of sports, basketball, any sport. You might consider checking out our website, Adventures in History with Peter J. Ray at peterjray.com. So far, we've made 737 history videos in 9 areas: world history, American history, book reviews, poetic tours, Cleveland baseball, family history, autobiography, and Cleveland basketball. There's a donate feature. You might consider making a donation to support this work. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care. And I'll see you next time.